Joe and Dave just wrote a great book, and I think you all received a copy in your goodie bag, Street Smart Sustainability, the Entrepreneur's Guide to Profitably Greening Your Organization's DNA. Now I'd like to invite David up to the stage, and I just want to say a couple of words about David, Joe's co-author on Street Smart Sustainability. David's also a longtime member of Social Venture Network, and over the past, 3 decades or so, he's been working with nearly 400 companies to make them more effective, more efficient, more environmentally responsible. He's worked with mainstream big companies and also social venture network companies. He is the principal of Major Environmental Solutions. I love the title of the company, David Major, get it? And he served as an advisor to Obama's Transition Team on renewable energy and environmental sustainability. He was also one of the very first organizers of Earth Day. He helped organize the first Earth Day in 1970, 40 years ago, but no small feat. And so Joe and David, they're not going to walk you through the book chapter by chapter, but they are going to share some of the stories of the book.
I ended up doing a lot of interesting stuff in the environmental space, and at the time, Earth Day was a small part of it. We never had any idea how durable it was going to be. The next thing that happened was the oil embargo in 1973, and all of a sudden, we realized how vulnerable you are, how dependent we were on this non-renewable resource and all the environmental problems, and God spoke to me, or maybe it was the ganja, I don't know, but whatever it was, I realized at the time that that's what I need to spend the rest of my life on. So I've been so lucky to be able to work with so many companies and helping them get green and see it done wrong and see it done right. Joe and I talked about doing a book about this and taking all the stories of all what works. I mean, there's so many books about why you should be green, but there aren't that many on, okay, I bought into it, so how do I do it? How do I become green? And how do I become green profitably? And that's what we've been able to do in this book. So the first chapter is on taking your vision and translating that vision into a vision statement and then using that to excite and electrify the people who work for you so that they buy into that vision. The second chapter is on auditing. And I've done a lot of the sustainability audits for a lot of the companies here. And that's now, once you have your vision, you measure and baseline yourself to see where you're actually at, because you can't make continuous improvement until you know where your starting point is. The next chapter could be really called Building the Bridge from Passion to Action, because it's about taking the vision and concretizing it, taking the vision, taking the data from the audit and making the plan that you can implement your vision. In making the plan, we give instructions on how you can make your plan, or you could buy into an existing framework like the series principles, which Joan Bavaria, who's an SVN member who recently passed, was one of the co-founders with Dennis Hayes. There's ISO 14000, which I represented the United States in creation. It's a global standard for environmental management systems. Or you could do the natural step process that Terry is the expert in. So down to now where we design, making it sustainable from the start in terms of products and services, and also greening your facility, like, not just the building itself, but like what Paulette Cole did in switching to green cleaning agents. A whole chapter on doing an energy audit and all kinds of recommendations, and including what are the cost-effective ways of saving the most kilowatt hours and BTUs. And once you got your energy audit, then you can do your carbon footprint, and so we give the whole formula, all the formulas in there on that. The next chapter is on reducing, getting to zero. One of the stories, I worked with Ace Paint Company. They were in Cleveland, Ohio, on the Cuyahoga River, and I don't know if you know this story, but there was so much pollution in that river that the river caught on fire and burnt down 21 bridges. And we worked with them. They were very clever in figuring out how to completely eliminate their waste, so they got to net zero. And then this is Joe's favorite chapter, taking your waste and actually making a business out of it. So I want to sort of wrap up this part of it with the story about one of the companies we worked with, Aveda. And Horst is this amazing visionary who said, I need to make my products not out of petrochemicals, but out of natural and organic materials. So part of the audit we do is actually validate that. Is he really doing this? And we had thousands of SKUs to look at, and in fact, he was doing it. But one of the other things we learned in some of the things we hear with the life cycle analysis and the input-output analysis is that instead of using petroleum, he has these perennial plants that are taking in carbon dioxide and sunlight and building up carbon mass so that they're actually sequestering more carbon than their whole carbon footprint for transportation, for distribution, packaging. The more Aveda products you buy, the better the planet is. So that was a really revolutionary thing for them to discover. So I'd like to introduce my co-author and co-marketer now, Joe Sibilia. And you've enjoyed Joe so far. He was so much fun to work with in writing this book. We had such a blast doing this. And Joe is this incredible business genius. I don't know how many of you really know this, but what he does is he takes a little fractal, a little seed, and he grows that seed into this incredible business that has super premium value. And instead of selling that whole business, he sells the core of that business for the super premium, and then he has all these fractals left, and guess what he does? He holographically transforms them into whole other businesses. So, you know, he sold like one business like 19 times. And you see his beautiful smile. But, you know, I think Joe's greatest gift, and it's just wonderful to see him on Gasoline Alley where you have all kinds of people coming through, is that he sees the deep beauty in everybody, whether it's a homeless, hobo, or CEO. So come on out, buddy.
Right, I didn't like grow up or wake up one day and say I'm going to be like a socially responsible, sustainable business person. That's not the way it happened. It's a gradual evolution, and it's a continuous evolution, and we got a lot of work to do to even do part of the stuff that we wrote in this book. So I'm like totally open to that one. So that's the start. I've been meeting with a lot of younger people. There seems to be a lot more of them now for some reason. Their population has exploded for some reason, and I'm finding a couple of phenomena that I'm a little bit concerned about. One of them is this generation gap, which in order for us to be sustainable, and us really to go to the next generation, next generation, and next generation, and next generation, it's important for us to respect and understand those that are younger than us, those that are our age, and those that are older than us. So this generation gap is non-sustainable. I'm a little bit concerned about that, and I hope that we could pay some attention to it so that we can bridge the gap and all move together. When we started a bank, many of the people that I knew that were starting the bank with us agreed to be investors in the bank, and they agreed to be depositors, and we agreed that they would take their loans to the bank. So we started our bank with 265 small businesses, and they were all depositors. I mean, they were all investors. We had 263 depositors, and we had maybe 125 loans the day we opened. So the people who worked for the companies that were associated with our bank, they took the extra money and they put it in the bank and they used it as a deposit. We took those deposits and we lent them back to the other companies, just like the movie It's a Wonderful Life. It was beautiful, right? Well, that's how the banking industry was going on for a long time. That kind of economy where real goods and services are moving, you get capital that stimulates growth, it lends money so that you can buy machinery and equipment and inventory and things, right? Well, on the other hand, there's these fellas out there, they're mostly fellas, that are betting each other on how this economy is going to move. So you guys over on this side of the room, you're the Bank of Western Mass, my bank, right? And you're working, depositing, loaning. You got a bunch of companies going over here. And we're over here and we're saying, I bet you that Ed Duggar's not going to be able to pay his loan back to Paulette Cole. I bet you $1 million. Now, people over here, all you guys over here, you know what you're doing? You're betting on everything that's going on over there. It's one big casino. You now have taken over this economy. This phantom bullshit economy of moving money around and making money out of nothing is now bigger globally than the real economy. And that's not sustainable. This is how I understand reality so that I can get it in my head clear enough to go through the world. This is just the way I look at it. I believe that all reality is created in my mind. So like I created you today, you created me, I created you, you created me. So in this collective consciousness right now, we're all the same being. We're all the same consciousness right now. So we're all creating each other. So I am very, 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 very psyched that my mind is equipped enough to create a set of humanity like this that's actually going to do something to make things better. That's what's going to happen. In my mind, everyone here is making a great contribution. And I'm humbled by being in the presence of such greatness. So thank you very much.